How's everybody doing? Yeah. I really appreciate that today. I needed that. That is awesome. I got to way better. I got to get you. What size do you wear? You don't have to say that publicly. I shouldn't ask you that. Afterwards, tell me what size, because the Under Armour deal will get you a Nike one. That is really cool. You know what? You just made my day. So thank you for that. You're a good man. I appreciate it. I know, but I won't say that. You guys are great. It has been a fun year with you, and hopefully it will continue. But thank you, seriously. That's really cool that you did that. So go ahead. Ask about the last play of the game. Yeah, here's the deal. I've been very truthful with you guys, and I'm not going to go through this one in length. Matt addressed it. There was miscommunication. It's not the call we were supposed to be in. Certainly not at that time. Obviously frustrating, disappointing. Learn from it, move on, and we're on to Philly. But I'm not going to sit here and get into rehash all that. And I'm sorry that I can't do that. But he addressed it, and it clearly was not what we were supposed to be in. Certainly. So miscommunication, not ideal with what we were going to be in. Disappointing, learn from it. Will never happen again. So learning experience.
Jeff, I understand this is kind of a game plan question, but I understand this is kind of a game plan question, but with the kind of mush rush you guys used in week 1 against Hurts and against some other quarterbacks, how do you think that worked then, and do you maybe draw on that to formulate a game plan with your pass rush this time?
Yeah, I thought week 1, our D-line did a really good job of keeping him in the pocket. He didn't rush for many yards. He didn't escape. He had the one scramble at the end of the game. That was costly when he did get out, when we pressured. We had an open B gap to the right side. I feel like I've watched it 100 times now. There's got to be a little bit of both, and I think I've learned from that, just like I've learned a lot over the year. I think our whole staff's learned a lot. We've learned who the players are. We learned what we can do well. We've had to evolve away from some of the things maybe that we've come into thinking we were going to do, and ultimately we want to win games and keep the score down. You look back at that game now, one, it was like on the other side of the world. 2, it feels like so long ago. But we did some really good things that we like, but then there's some things where we have to do different. And there's going to be a time and a place for when we want to go hard at them and when we got to keep them in the pocket. But we certainly need to play better and coach better than we did at that game because we need to win this game.
Obviously, everybody talks about Barkley, but what is the challenge or what makes our offensive line such a powerhouse?
They're huge. They're really well coached. They know what they're doing. They've got great length. They've got size. They stay on their double teams. They're good at their gap scheme runs. I think it's a really good combination of their scheme and their players. I mean, and then obviously you got the running back, but then you have the quarterback. So you have a really good line who runs a really good scheme, and you have the threat of, probably the best rusher in the NFL this year, right, at least on paper. And he's hard to bring down, and he's tackle, and he can catch the ball, and then the quarterback can pull it at any time. But it does all start with the offensive line. I think when we first started, like 20 weeks ago, we were all talking about the new center, because Kelsey was no longer playing. I mean, he's had a great year. I mean, he's a really good player, and he's fit right in with that group. So I have a ton of respect for the O-line, how strong they are, how powerful they are. It will be a challenge, but it's one that I know our guys are up for and they're looking forward to, and they feel when they watch the tape that we've improved. We've improved in our run defense, and for a lot of that game, we played them really well in the run game. I mean, the one Saquon got out, we kind of misfitted. We came inside too much to the side of the slot, and then on the other, we had a player miss a line and they hit us coming out. But they're excited for the challenge. But this is a great offense.
More than just stats to it, but I mean, you guys did finish really high in the defensive categories that we use to measure. That if someone had told you at the beginning of the year that you're going to be, 5th in yards and whatever and all those other things, what would you have said?
Well, one, I think that's a credit to the staff that we have. Hopefully this isn't the last time I talk to you guys, so I don't want to reflect too much, but we were talking about watching that first game, and we were just joking. We got here almost a year ago, right? And, we kind of just all moved in here together, got to learn each other, figured it out, what we wanted to do, who we wanted to be, learn our players. So there's a lot of, I have a lot of appreciation for all the hard work that defensive staff has done, from the quality control guys to the, to the assistant position coaches. I mean, there's a lot of hard, no, that's okay. There's a lot of hard work that goes into that. And I give those guys a lot of credit, and then I give the players a lot of credit. Kind of going in OTAs, we started out doing some stuff, and we've had to evolve and grow. And the way they've gotten better and bought in and gelled together, it's been a lot of fun to be around. And yeah, the stats are great because it usually means that you're playing pretty good defense. But the thing that was most important to me, like I told you guys, was the takeaways. That was really important because I do believe when you take the ball away, you're going to win. And when you take the ball away, you're going to have good stats. So I appreciate the players and all the buy-in that they've done on that. And then really the other thing is it's to me, it's all about points, right? So if you got to look at one thing, it's points scored. And I do believe we've kept the points down to give ourselves a chance to win games, because ultimately it's just about winning. So if you told me we'd win and have a chance to be in the playoffs, I'd be pretty happy. And if we helped along the way do that and help our team do that, then that's our job. But the coolest thing for me is I do think we've gotten better. I really think we've improved, and I think it's a really good foundation and a good starting point. And I do believe, I believe we can be even so much better. And I know our players believe it, and we believe it, and that's really the cool part. So I think there's a strong foundation, but it's about winning and getting our players better. And I do believe we've done that.
You mentioned it with Barkley. For 23 carries week one, you guys did a bang-up job on a 2,000-yard rusher, then he gets the one. What's the challenge of keeping a guy like that down for every carry at all 4 quarters?
Yeah, it's just what you said. I mean, you go back and you even watch him, and I don't want to mention the team that I just was watching him against. They were winning the game. It's like 0 points, 0 points, 0 points. And then they misfit one run, and he goes for like 70. And it's just, you got to do it over and over and over, and you have to be so locked in, and you have to be so detailed. And if you're supposed to stay in the C gap, you better stay in the C gap. And if you're a nose and it's run away, you can't cut out, and then you got to do it again and again and again, and it's hard. It's hard to sustain that, because he will make you pay if you don't so fast, because he's patient, he stays square, he sees it, he can make you miss, and then when he gets on the edge, he can be gone. So it's the discipline to play as a team. I mean, this game is not going to come down to, does the D-line play well? Do the linebackers play well? This is, can our 11 guys on the field, however many we dress, stay more disciplined every single play than they are and finish the game? Because that's how you have to beat them. Because then all of a sudden, number 11 spread out there, and the slot's out here, and the quarterback's running around. It's going to take every single guy doing their job, and I believe our guys have confidence in it, and they're really excited for that challenge.
Guy that went 2K, there were some games this season that defenses were able to get to him and kind of keep him in check. Did you go back and watch those games too, and what might you have gleaned from doing that? Yeah,
I watched every game and probably every carry that he's had. I think it's what we just kind of talked about. It's the teams that have stayed disciplined. It's, if a player tries to make a play and he gets out of his gap and the guy behind him is not there to have his back, then he's gone. So it's about doing right longer and straining to finish every single play, and then scheme comes in, right? Who are you going to stop? Who are you going to try to take away? Because they have multiple weapons, But there have been a handful of teams that played them well, and then there's been some where you want to hit the stop button and not watch the tape anymore because it doesn't look very good. But I have a ton of he's a great player.
How much of it, Saquon's a huge acquisition, but how much of an influence do you see from Kell Moore taking over as offensive coordinator this year?
Yeah, I think he's done a really nice job. I think he's blended their run game, which I know their offensive line coach has done an outstanding job year after year, and he seems like he's been there forever. I think they've kind of gelled that run game with his pass game, and I think he has a lot of creativity to it. They do a nice job of trying to get you to the line and speed you up a little bit and then slow you down, kind of see what you're in. I think he's done a really good job because they're not just good. They don't just have good players. They have good scheme too, and it's very balanced.
We were talking to X after I think it was the Saints game, and he talked at length about this dinner that they had before they officially signed him and Josh. And Josh brought it up to us again today. Were you one of the coaches that was at that dinner? I assume you were.
Do you think I would miss that dinner if I knew X was coming? I would have paid for the dinner, and I just got here. Yeah, I was certainly part of it. I was living in the hotel, so it was easy. So I wasn't going to let him leave.
Obviously, you built a college program, so you know how important not only great players, but people and the influence and leadership. Can you kind of take us back to your recollections from that dinner, being around those guys, seeing them together, and what you were kind of thinking that night?
Yeah, what I was thinking is we better not let this guy out the door. And Goody and his crew did a great job. And I mean, I can't say it again, how much I appreciate X being here, not just as a player, as a person. And even the way he practiced again today. There was one rep that looked like he was going live today. And I went over with the iPad, I was like, this is awesome. This is why you're an all-pro. You know, do I remember totally the dinner and what I ate? And no, I don't. I remember sitting there and meeting him and meeting Josh, and you know, just obviously very hopeful that you know they'd both join us. I do remember how mature they were, and the questions that he was asking were, you know, he was serious. I mean, this guy's a football guy. This wasn't, you know, what is it like? This was all football. You know, what's the scheme going to look like? What's your coaching style like? How are you going to use me? Am I going to be a big part of this thing? Our relationship, what that's going to be like. And, you know, I do remember, the maturity. And the same way when I met Josh, I was like, these are two real guys. And it's a credit. And it goes back to Goody and his staff. Like, there's great people here. And you guys have been really fortunate, like, to cover. Like, these guys are great. And I hope you feel that way too, because I've been at other places, and it's not always the same. But the character of these guys in here, I mean, that's why it's so much fun to come to work. And I'm sure you guys see it too. Like, they're fun to cover. They're good. They're respectful, and they work. So, yeah, I do remember the dinner, and I'm very grateful that he's here. And I could talk about the guy for days.
You're going to be going against a quarterback this week that's thrown 4 passes in a month. What kind of things can you do early in a game to kind of test whether a guy like that kind of layoff has rust?
Well, it depends how they're going to try to attack us. Are they going to run it more? Are they going to let them start to throw it early in the game? We got to do some things differently. I think each week we've tried to throw some different stuff at people, and I think we need to do some of that early in the game, and you know, make them see a couple different things and throw them off a little bit.
Jeff,
How was it to have Quay and Evan back at practice yesterday? How big would it be to get them back for Sunday's game?
It was great to have them back. I know that's been really hard for them. Now, I do give the guys who stepped in a lot of credit. I thought Zane did a really nice job when he came back and played, and then when he got hurt, I thought KT last week, you know, I was proud of him. He hadn't even played in a preseason game. So, yeah, we got another safety in there. And then a credit to all the backers, right? I mean, we gave McDuffie the green dot for the first time last week, and I thought he did a pretty good job with that. And then Eric's continued to play well, and Coop's been playing obviously more and more, and which we need him to do that. We put him in some different spots like you guys asked me to do last week, so thank you for whoever asked me to do that. Thanks for the heads up so we could scheme that up. But it's nice to have the leadership of Quay, and the one thing about Evan is such a smart football player, and it comes so easy to him. And the communication back there, it's just like this nice calming factor when he's back there. And I think for X, too, it allows X to kind of not have to do it all, where it allows X to kind of say, all right, I'm going to play ball now. But I'm grateful for those guys who stepped in. They did a nice job. And someone else was going to ask a question?
I was actually going to ask about Evan Williams.
So it's not good.
Okay.
Go ahead, that was my question.
So-
I was going to ask about Williams.
You want to follow up on Evan?
No, I was going to ask, but she asked it, so
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.